Welcome to the Sewing Report. I'm Jennifer Moore, and look who I found. It's Mary Fons, the legend, Mary Fons.
Oh, God.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I was sleeping under a bench, and Jennifer was like, I found Mary Fons.
I was wandering around this place, and we just ran into each other.
We did.
Cool.
We did.
Well, let's talk quilting.
Yeah.
You're here in Atlanta, and there are a lot of quilters in town and people who sew. So tell me, what do you run into a lot of quilters that are younger? Are you meeting a lot of people that are getting into it?
I am, and we have to thank the modern quilters for bringing a lot of beginners into the fold. It's very important for me to share with folks such as yourself, and any time I lecture, that beginner does not mean young necessarily, and modern quilter does not mean 30-something either. So the people, realistically, the people that I see coming to quilting and patchwork and garment sewing as well, although that's a little bit different, it's not like kids. I mean, people say, oh, you know, we have to get kids sewing. No, it's not going to work. I mean, some kids are amazing.
Anybody sewing.
We have to get anybody, and kids like to do stuff like that for a while, then they leave it and come back to it. But the majority of people who start have a little bit more money and a little bit more time to do this, and so going after like the kids or like the teens, I think is the wrong approach. We need to get people who are ready and have a little bit more space, a little bit more time, perhaps, to do this.
And maybe have the motivation to learn a new skill or do something different in their life.
And make something by hand. It cannot be understated. It cannot be overstated that people want to do something real. Any screen. You know, we love our screens and everything, but you can't, as I say, you can't wrap a baby in an iPad. So
you can try, but it might not work very well.
Exactly.
Well, tell me, are you running into a lot of young quilters at events like this one? Do you meet a lot of newbies or beginners?
Sure. Beginners, yeah. Young quilters, like. Are you saying like under 20-something?
I'd say under maybe under 30.
Yeah, I don't see that many. I don't see that many under 30, but I do see 30-somethings, definitely 40-somethings, and on up from there. And you know, quilting doesn't have an image of being like super sexy, you know. And my mom and I talk about how even the librarian, you know, she takes out her bun and off her glasses, and she's like this sex kitten. You know, quilters, we don't have that.
How do we make quilting
That's
look
what
sexy?
I'm saying. I think we have, well, the more infusion of the 30-somethings and 40-somethings as well, and the sexy 50-somethings, 60-somethings. I don't want to say anything.
You can be sexy at any age, let's be honest.
And we have seen that many people at the show, you know, they're bringing sexy back. This is, I hope I haven't gone too far into that, but I do think the way we sort of get out into the public more as being people who are contemporary, who are doing interesting art, who are doing fresh sort of takes on patchwork and textiles, that totally, it makes a huge difference. And the Modern Quilt Guild, QuiltCon, the show was on the cover of the LA Times a few weeks ago, so that's fantastic for the industry and for the community.
Exactly. And if people were to look at, say, you or I, they probably wouldn't guess that we quilt. What kind of weird, like, have you ever gotten some weird comments or people, like, what kind of a reaction do you usually get?
Oh, yeah. On the airplane, I travel a lot, and I often sit next to somebody, and when I tell them what I do, you're chatting, they're like, I'm sorry, quilting? Did you say quilting? And I say, yes. And then they say, my grandmother used to knit.
That's totally not the same thing, but thank
not
you
at
for
all.
trying.
Exactly, but they're interested. I mean, it's an easy sell that you're a quilter. It's not like, yeah, you know, I make widgets. And it's like, oh yeah, you make widgets. No, I make quilts, and quilting, I often too have to throw in there for somebody who's sort of on the business side of things or more interested in, you know, why do quilts matter now, aside from the fact that they just matter. But I mentioned that the quilt industry is a $4 billion a year industry. It's big business, and so not many people outside of the quilt world know that.
No, it's definitely not a fringe industry like a lot of people think it is. Well, and tell me, what do you think is kind of a stumbling block for people to start sewing? Like, why don't more people give it a chance?
I believe, it's a good question. I believe that, you know, the people coming up now, ever since, how old are you?
I'm in my 30s.
I'm in my 30s too. And we didn't grow up, with few exceptions, we did not grow up with a sewing machine in the home. It just wasn't a fixture in the household, and it used to be. So the stumbling block, you know, we're not sewing machine natives, we're digital natives, and everybody coming up behind us is also a digital native, not a sewing machine native. So my sort of crusade is to help beginners start at zero. You can't assume that they know what a bobbin is. You can't assume that they know what batting is. They think it's, batting. Basting is for turkeys. I mean, you have to really make sure that you don't make them feel stupid, don't make them feel like they ought to know this. Some of the older teachers make some of the newer under 40-somethings feel like idiots, frankly, which is like, don't let me at them, let me at them. So you just have to be patient with people who know nothing. And if I asked some of the older quilters who have way more experience to like download an app and then transfer a file and then, upload it to Dropbox and send me the link.
Then it would be like the reverse.
They're like, bleh. And I say, that's how you feel about that is exactly the way a new quilter feels about quilt as desired. They have no idea. So help each other and, that'll work out.
And here's another thing I want to touch on. I have a full-time job. You work full-time. Young people now are very busy people, and they're also, working a lot more. But I think sewing and quilting is such a nice, relaxing activity to do. And I think that's one thing that we're not selling hard enough is that, it's really good for your mental clarity and to really help you kind of unplug after the day.
It's so true.
And I think if more people knew that, more people might give it a chance.
I think you're right. And young mothers have a ton of things to do. I'm not a mom, but I've seen it. I've heard about it. You have a lot to do. My mom used to say that the dishes don't stay done and the homework doesn't stay done, but a quilt block stays done. And so there's this really rewarding feeling of having something that's finished. And then aside from the fact that you're making things for your family, which feels warm and fuzzy, the process is meditative. And Liz Porter used to say that she would get up every morning early and sew just for a little bit. Just before the maelstrom started, she would sew a little bit, and it does set the tone for the day. And I stay up late and sew, sometimes too late, watching House of Cards.
And
don't do that.
You can totally multitask while you're sewing. You
Absolutely.
can do a few things.
Absolutely.
You can watch Netflix.
Yes.
Instead of Netflix and chill, it needs to be Netflix and chill. I think.
I just learned that term, Netflix and chill. I love it. You can Netflix and sew. That's great.
I think we need to make some t-shirts.
That's how we can get into this contemporary, sexy groove.
It's just not just for the older set. It's for us too.
It's for everybody. And sometimes cost can be a factor for the people who are young mothers and have careers. They don't have retirement money. It's really important. My advice there would be still buy the best fabric you can afford, because if you want to make heirlooms, you want the best fabric you can afford. And if you can't afford that much, if you're building a stash, swap with friends. Do things, if you have a blog, and you have to be consistent, you have to have some followers, but fabric companies will send you little stuff if you promise to make something and post it on your social media. It's true. And also join a guild, because a lot of times fabric, there'll be a big bucket of fabric people don't want. And so, but if you're watching your budget, build your stash as best you can with the best fabric you can, and you don't need a special tool for everything. I'm not supposed to say that, but my mom used to make quilts cutting templates out of cereal boxes.
You could make it work.
Totally make it work, and do make it work, Well,
Mary, thank you for joining us. And,
my pleasure.
Tell everyone, where can people find you online?
They can find me online at maryfons.com. My blog is there, Paper Girl, and that's the sort of the clearinghouse for everything. I'm on Facebook and all that stuff. And my mom and I just started a podcast.
I saw that.
It's pretty fun.
So what kind of audience are you hoping to reach with the podcast?
Every quilter on the planet, basically. And it's a call-in advice show for quilters. It's quiltyourheartout.com, and you can ask about patchwork or relationships. So we'll answer anything. It's free, of course, and there's a hotline, and you call it, and we answer your question on the air, and we have celebrity guests on, and we have social media shout-outs about things. So Jennifer, you will be on the show very soon. Maybe by the time people see this, you will have recorded your episode, because we're going to have you on very soon, because you're doing really cool things.
Well, thank you.
We need people like you to sort of help get that word out, right?
We do, and we also need more people our age to start quilting.
I think it's true. I do agree with that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, Mary. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.
Do that, please. Support entrepreneurs and support young women in the industry, but especially young women in the industry, because that is important. This is an industry mostly run by men, with women who are the customers. So Kickstart her, Kickstarter, and all the things. I just really support what you're doing, and go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.